So many rumors about the Star Cruiser coming back, and we put together some people who are really excited to talk about that opportunity. There's more Christmas coming. Jollywood Nights has been announced, and Disney 100 finally happened. What's next? All tonight on ParksCenter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ParksCenter for tonight, October 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content, and also make sure to give this video a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. And the panel tonight, chef's kiss, fantastic, starting with Kamila.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday.
So excited. And Desi?
For the order.
Okay, you're canceled. And Shannon.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for being with us. And you know what? We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get it to you in 60 minutes. And before we get into that, though, I have some apologies to make here because last week was fun and it was kind of crazy. But at the same time, we missed a couple super chats. So that's on me. So I wanted to give a shout out to Jungle Cruiser, and then also to Rosita for giving us super chats last week. So I was looking for, here it is. So this makes no sense out of context, Jungle Cruiser, if you're with us. But Disneyland is getting ready for Christmas. Yes, they are. So again, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you. And then Rosita said, I just wanted to hear the music and see Shannon dance. That was fun. If you didn't watch last week, Shannon's worked up special choreography to our super chat music. If you super chat, you may get to see it tonight. And she said it's her birthday week and she couldn't wait to be in WDW. And that was last weekend. So hopefully she had a great time. But we appreciate all of you, the super chats and everything. So thank you guys for being with us and for giving us super chats, and maybe I can make them go away. So tonight, the first thing we want to start talking about is this little thing called the Star Cruiser. 3 out of 4 of us were on it. This is not to shame you, Shannon, so I apologize. But I'm sure you have exciting thoughts about it anyway. So the first thing that happened is that there was a survey that went out, and I have questions about this survey because one of the things about this survey said that they had to sign an NDA. So how do we know that the survey came out? I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
So it says Disney made a survey suggesting that the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser may be restructured. And before Desi goes off, I know that she has certain opinions about it being restructured. But there's a second part to this, which I thought was interesting, which is that apparently the poor Galactic Starcruiser, no matter how much money we threw at it, never made any money and had lower average occupancy than expected. So I'm going to go – let's talk about the occupancy thing second. So I'm going to go first to Desi because, you know, as soon as this popped up, Desi popped into our chat and was like, wait a minute, there's a survey. Why didn't I get a survey? Desi, why didn't you get a survey?
I don't know, but I have talked to multiple people who did get a survey, and from what I hear, the people who got the original survey didn't have to sign an NDA. There was a follow-up survey with more detailed questions. They still didn't have to sign an NDA, but the third one where you got an interview where they asked you a bunch of questions face-to-face in person, that's when you had to sign the NDA. I also know that somebody said that they had a master's degree, so I don't know how that got through because apparently that was one of the original questions was, do you have higher education or something like that?
Graduate degree, yeah.
A graduate degree. Somehow they got through, but I wish I would have taken the survey, but from the people that I spoke with, they said, some of them said that they thought the questions were fairly generic and didn't necessarily lean towards maybe they're going to reopen it. It was more like they're just gathering data. Other people said, no, the questions sounded like they were definitely reconsidering opening this. And I know that everybody that I talked to said they told Disney it was 100% worth it and they would pay it again. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if it was just them gathering data or if there's a possibility of it coming back.
Here's the thing, though, and I think we talked about this because we've done 2 shows about the Star Cruiser, one about it going that we knew it was going away, and then that's when everybody here panicked and went, Kamila, get us on board. And then there was the second one when it was all said and done, and we kind of said our goodbyes after we had gotten on it. But I feel like it's one of those things you really didn't understand how, and I'm sure we said this, how much value you were getting and what you were getting until you went. And once you did, you were like, I get it. I totally get it. Not that it makes it any easier to swallow the pill, but I totally get it. And I think that that's probably one of its problems was the marketing of it. So people who, it does not surprise me that people who went on it said, yep, I would totally do it again for that. But as far as the bookings go, Kamila, I mean, I think we were in a huge lull, right? So it spiked at the beginning. Everybody wanted to be on board, and the people who went on had a good time. And then it kind of like teetered out as most people got on, and then they were like, hey, we're closing, and it was like crazy.
Mad rush.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I feel like anyone who has gotten to experience what was the Galactic Starcruiser voyages, you know how valuable it was, what an incredible experience it was. And I think you're exactly right that it was hard to really understand what it was until you did it. And once you do it, you're going to want to do it again because you're going to be like, wait, I need a redo. I didn't understand. And, you know, now you want to go back and create your character, figure out where you're from, do all new costumes, maybe do a different, cycle of your voyage. And so it was kind of devastating when, then all of a sudden so many of us got on, but it's going away. And I feel like Disney would be crazy having seen one, the really positive feedback that it got consistently throughout, the entire time that it was open, but also just seeing the mad dash of people trying to get on this at the end once they realized it was going away. There's definitely interest there, but as the article states, it wasn't making any money for a number of reasons. And just the fact that, they had like basically 2 actors for every actor that was there in case someone fell ill or needed to have a break or be replaced. Just the fact that the occupancy did struggle so much. I mean, this was an experience that it sounds like even when things were full, it was still maybe barely breaking even, if that. And then you add to that the fact that, it sat at maybe 20%, 30%, 50% occupancy for all those months. It was just a really difficult experience. And I think Disney couldn't really quite figure out exactly how to market it. And when you're asking people to pay $5,000, and up, for a 2-day, barely 48-hour experience, you have to be able to give them a little bit more. But how do you do that without kind of giving it away? So I think it was really difficult, but I think this is a really good sign that they recognize like they created something really special that people really liked, and they're not giving up on it entirely, which I don't think anyone wants them to do. They're just trying to figure out how can they make it viable. And I will just say, I hope that it can return in the same state somehow. Like I hope that we don't lose a bunch of the things that we loved, and maybe they can have different versions. But yeah. I will say just really quickly, it's interesting to me the way they tried to filter out who they were trying to interview, because to me that speaks to, trying to weed out the professionals who maybe, are more comfortable or something like that, and like figure out like an average guest, what do they want and how can we get them to be able to experience this, which is a good thing.
Yeah, my wife was like, "Wait a minute, no graduate degree and no bloggers." She was like, "No wonder we didn't get one." But before now, I wanted to kind of target the person that didn't go. So Shannon, buckle up. No, I have like a legitimate question for you. I have a legitimate question for you. So this happened. Beautiful, your friend of mine, beautiful Josh Damaro, said something will happen with the Galactic Starcruiser, and this was back in June that he said this. What I want to know from you, and then you can tell us your other thoughts, but when he said something will happen, as someone who didn't go on it, what were you hoping he meant when he said something will happen? Does that make sense?
Oh, God. I'm about to lose a majority of the crowd here, that it would just go away entirely and be something that's not Star Wars.
No, I get it. That's fine.
How dare you?
I know.
Ignore that voice. Yeah, ignore that voice, Shannon.
We can't be friends anymore. I've been the resident hater of Starcruiser from day one. It just you can go back on previous episodes if you want to know my opinion, but I think it would be a great thing to keep some iteration of what it is today, but maybe like a day excursion where you can charge less, relatively speaking, from what it was, and you maintain the infrastructure that is still, for all intents and purposes, brand new. You bring in those people like me who, like, I am a Star Wars fan. I just was never going to part with that money. I'm not like Desi, who is really a huge fan and loves being a part of the story. That was not my thing. But if there's some iteration of it that's going to come back, then who knows? Maybe it is something I'm going to like and enjoy. So TBD.
I think the
TBD
two
indeed.
actors thing is crazy. Like, were there two people in full blue Captain Kevin attire? Or was it just, there was a second person who could be Captain Kevin on standby if need be, and then they would paint her up? Because that would be insane to have two Gaias in full purple with the Twi'lek thing just ready to go at any moment. That's insane. No wonder they weren't making money. But yeah.
Well, there can be only one Gaia. There can be only one Beyonce, and there can be only one Gaia. It's just a thing. No, but it was the other funny thing to me about the actor thing was, and we talked about this on our Star Cruiser episode a couple weeks ago. If you didn't check it out, it's the longest show we've ever done. That's why we're back to 60 minutes. But on that one, we were talking about, like, we all had different, like, actors who played those characters, and all of those characters. So, I wonder if we saw all of them. Maybe we didn't, because I think between us and Stephanie, we had three different, like Croy, three different, of the captains, and it was. I don't know how many others there were in play, but that's a lot of people to keep on the roster.
Like there were several. I have gone absolutely crazy, and I've joined all of these Star Cruiser groups, and I've seen all of the pictures and videos from everybody else's voyages. And apparently, like, they all have different nicknames. There's Gaston.
I
what's
called
the
him
guy's
that.
manager's name? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what Rob called him. There's another one who's got like an eyebrow, and he's got that nickname. There's apparently like 6 different actors per character.
Well,
but you know what else is really fascinating to me about this entire thing is, like, when you think about who was in charge of whether it's Disney altogether or Disney parks, like, how was no one keeping the cost in check around this? Like, how was this able to become such a colossal expense that Disney, had to manage? Like, especially when you think, like, Bob Chapek, like, was he not focused in on this? Like, Josh D'Amaro, is he just not care about budget? Like, because to me, this was just so uncharacteristically Disney in that it really felt like they spared no expense. Like, this was a premium version of Disney I have never seen. And I don't even think it comes close to comparing, like, the experience of staying at a deluxe resort. Like, the Star Cruiser had nothing on the Grand Floridian.
I really think part of it was experimentation to see if they can take this concept and bring it to Marvel and bring it to other Disney IPs. It sounds crazy to me, especially having been to business school. I think it's absurd that they ever let this come to fruition, but I do think part of the buy-in was, does this concept work? So
yeah. Well, we'll all be hanging on to see what happens next, and hopefully those of you who got surveys, did the right thing. I don't know. Surveys are always weird. Depends on your mood. If you've had a bad day, you may just be in it for the sport of tearing them up. Who knows? Let's go on to Moana, because I think this will probably officially be the last time we talk about Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, because it's something that took, forever to open. And once it finally did, it was previews for months, but because it was the Disney 100th on this past Monday, they finally opened it up. It's officially open, and so that first day, the virtual queue reached capacity, so that had to be nice for anybody who had planned their trip around going to see that thing. It's also now officially on the map, and it's in the guidebooks. So, you know, if it's on the guidebook, it's happening. It's real. It's finally open for a real. And Desi, you finally got a chance to get. You were the last, I think,
Yay!
the last person to get to see it. I don't know. And
Yeah.
you finally went and saw it. Was it worth the hype?
It was. Oh my goodness, it was so cute. And my kids keep talking about it and how much fun they had. It was so beautiful. It was interactive. It was fun. And we walked right in. Like, you know, we didn't have any problem. We didn't have to get a virtual queue. It was a little crowded, but not too bad. We only had to wait like, you know, a minute or two to be able to play with the different things, just waiting for the people in front of us to move. It was fine. I didn't have any issues, and I loved it, and my kids loved it, and they keep saying they want to go back. So I I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm glad you finally got to go. This was big. It was on my to-do list for you to go, so I'm glad you got a chance to do it. And they finally have merch. They have a pin that they've released. I know that when we went, my wife was like, "I'd really like something from this experience." How un-Disney for them not to already have that available. I'm like, well, it's still in previews. I mean, 2 months of previews, but still previews. But the other funny thing that came out with it, I saw this. Disney releases an hour-long relaxing nighttime ASMR video of Journey of Water.
Wow.
You know,
I'm gonna
so go
fall
ahead and
asleep to
hit.
that tonight.
Yeah, apparently it's 16 minutes looped on YouTube, so you know, go check it out. But the thing we didn't know that was going to happen, and again, this opened up on Monday, was that there was a Spaceship Earth beacon, and man, that logo could not look any better on Spaceship Earth like that. I mean, I think that that's a very cool thing. That's that little surprise and delight that we love for Disney to do. So, Kamila, any thoughts on Journey of Water here?
Synergy. Do you see how this just fit right in?
Oh my
And
God! Oh
no,
Lord!
I big synergy. It's like the Beyonce song, but it's synergy, not energy. No, I just want to make a prediction that I think, Rob, when you finally go see this, you are going to be the biggest stan. And you're going to be like, what took so long for this to come? I love it. I'm like the biggest fan. But no, I also like, I've heard such good feedback from people that I know that have had a chance to go see this. I will personally be able to go see it in about 3 weeks. So I'm excited. And you know what? I love Disney like doing more of these ASMR videos. There's so many that other people have created that like they do different parts around Disney that like why not them, you know, get in on it. I always have one of these types of videos up. My only ask is can the next one be like the Animal Kingdom Lodge background music, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
The funny thing, if y'all didn't keep up with it, was I've had a problem with where it is. That's it, just where it is, that it's there. And Kamila was like, "You have to stop because it's perfect there." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." I just think that I don't know, it's a thing. Shannon, thoughts?
Oh no. You know, with Christmas right around the corner, I'm starting to think I should move on over to the Island of Misfit Toys because I'm also a party pooper on Journey of Water.
Understood. Understood. Let's move on to Disney 100 then, because like I said, again, the Disney 100, we talked about this last week, has been going on since January, but the event actually was on Monday. Like, I feel like by the time it actually came around, I was like, oh, is that today? Oh, is it officially 100 years that this huge company has been around? It met with like so little applause when it finally actually happened. Even the short that we're going to talk about in a second came out the night before. Like it was just so weird to me. I don't know. I don't know that they actually did anything in the parks that day, which again is disappointing. I mean, this was the day. And so I don't know. There's a lot of little things that have come out recently about the Disney 100, including the TikTok channel that finally launched, and some other things that happened. But the Disney 100 is one of those things that, again, like we talked about last week, I feel like most people have no idea what it's 100 years of, whether it's Disney World, Disneyland, when Walt was born, when Walt's cat was born. Nobody really knows, like, except for us that are in the fandom, this 100 years of wonder. So, I don't
Walt
know.
didn't have a
Does he?
cat.
It was a joke. It was a joke. If he did, that cat would be 100 years old today. That's the anniversary.
Aw.
Desi, 100 years. I mean, was it? Doesn't it seem a little anticlimactic at this point?
It does, because I was there this week and I saw like one 100 thing the whole time I was there. Um, yeah, I there was nothing that was as big and grand as what they had at Disneyland Paris, where they brought out 100 different characters, which that seemed amazing. Like, why couldn't we do that here? And when you look back at, the 100 years of wonder when it was Walt's birthday, even like that was fantastic. Why such a why such a whimper for 100 years of this company?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like again that it's one of those things where they launched it on January 1st, and it was supposed to launch with the Dick Clark's New Year's Rocket Eve with Ryan Seacrest. Is that the entire title? It's really long. And then it rolled into the 27th of January when they opened up Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and had some celebration at Disneyland, had the decorations up. They got tired of the decorations. They sent them to Epcot. They just put them up, and now in a month they're going to take them down again. So, I mean, it's been kind of all over the place on this one, and I don't know. It's a little sad. Kamila?
You know what they probably did have though?
Uh-oh.
A
Cats,
cupcake.
boats. A cupcake.
Absolutely.
Of course, a cupcake.
I didn't
I
see a cupcake,
guess.
to be honest.
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I didn't either. There wasn't a whole bunch. I mean, the foods again kind of rolled out during the entire thing, so it seemed a little bit anticlimactic when it finally happened, but it has actually happened. So one of the things that I thought was really cool is, and I talked about this last week, and I was like, has anybody here seen the Once Upon a Studio? And I'm just like, nobody? Great. Okay. It was just me? Fantastic. I saw this at Destination D23. I hyped it up. Desi, I think you've seen it, right? And did it live up to the hype, or did I overhype it?
So I went into it with no spoilers, and I bawled my eyes out. It was so beautiful. I loved it. Yes, lived up to the hype, 100%. Loved every single moment of it, and I guess I'll talk about it more on Deep in the Plus.
Yes, we are going to do it on November 1st. We're going to do a Deep in the Plus about it because, gosh darn it, I freaking love this thing. Now, one thing, though, that ties it into the parks so nicely is, I don't know if you guys remember this, the magic of Disney animation.
Yes.
You do remember this.
great.
Good. So it's
Yeah.
I don't have to like Disney explain to you people. You know what I'm talking about then, right? So Walter Cronkite hosted it. It was the first thing you'd see when you go into the animation courtyard. You'd go into the animation building. You'd sit down. You'd watch a little movie about how animation was done, and it was them turning Robin Williams into one of the Lost Boys, and so he was freaking adorable. And then you would go through and you would see the animation tour after that. So it was really kind of cool that in Once Upon a Studio, there's a scene where Olaf is sitting there drawing at a table, and there's the little Robin Williams character sitting there in the background. So, that this was never part, like, if you didn't ever
And
go...
Aladdin.
Yeah, and the genie was in there too. But if you never went to the the actual movie, and I loved that movie. I quoted it all the time. If you never went to that movie, then you might not actually know what the heck they were talking about here. But Shannon, you said you went and saw the movie. When you saw this in the short, or did you see the short? Were you freaked out?
I did. Yeah, it's so cute. It was when I watched Once Upon a Studio that I realized how big a deal the 100th celebration was, and it made me sad that I haven't given much attention to it, but also like Disney hasn't given much attention to it. But it was brilliant. You know who else we spotted in the credits was Spike the Bee. Now, I thought Spike the Bee was a character for the festivals. Is that actually a character from someplace else?
Yes, he was in a Donald Duck cartoon.
Oh,
It was the
no.
first time
Here
he
we
was
go.
ever there.
Rob's Rob's never going to invite me back on ParksCenter.
No. I just
No,
think that's
kidding,
funny.
kidding.
You're like, oh, it's Spike the Merch Bee. They made him for merchandise, and that's exactly what they did with him. No, it was in a Donald Duck cartoon, and he was in a couple other things. He was actually in the new Mickey Mouse cartoons. There's one where Daisy is trying to draw Mickey, and he gets into it with the bee. So, yeah, I mean, it's a thing. But I loved the whole thing, and I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who, when I was like, oh, it made me cry, and they were like, okay. As they were watching it, they were like, why is he such a wuss? What is he crying about? And when you hit that thing, we all know the moment. You hit that moment, and you just can't not.
Yeah.
You know, if you are a Disney fan, you get super emotional at that point. But because it is about animation, and because this was a tie-in to Disney animation, I think it was just a perfect touch tying it back into Disney and MGM Studios. So I'm so glad that they brought that in and did that. Yeah, so let's move on to the next one, which is water parks. I'm so concerned about these water parks, and I shouldn't be. I'm not the biggest water park fan, but yet it seems like we may never see the day again where both of these water parks are open at the same time. Typhoon Lagoon has been open, and now they're going to open up Blizzard Beach, which I guess thematically makes sense for winter. Maybe? I don't know. But they're going to close Typhoon Lagoon again. Like, you only have 2 water parks left, Kamila. I'm sure that you understand the purpose behind this.
Well, so I actually have talked to a cast member that is pretty close to the water parks. And what this person has told me is that it really is coming down to staffing issues. Like, they are just not at a place where they are able to staff both water parks at the same time. And then I think you add to that lower crowds during this time of the year, some days where the water parks are actually going to close because it's just too cold. It makes sense to me for now that if only one can be open at a time because they can only appropriately staff one of these at a time, it makes sense that Blizzard Beach would be the one that you open for now. You know, it fits with the Christmas theme, and they talked about some of the Christmas things that are coming up for the water park. You know, be it fun to see like the Frozen stuff that they added last time around again. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, when we get to March, which is the time, you know, last year when they closed Blizzard Beach and brought back Typhoon Lagoon. It'll be interesting to see if maybe by then they're able to keep both of them open. But I also would be curious, do they need both of them open? Like, what are the crowds like at these? Because they're also, you know, creating new passes to make it easier for locals to go whenever they want during certain times of the year. So, you know, I think part of it is at least just logistics.
Yeah, I guess that could be a thing, that maybe they don't need both, but also it gets, I don't know if you guys have been to Florida in the summer, it gets kind of hot. I don't know if you knew this or not. And so I don't know if they ever actually, no, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know if they ever get totally booked up or not, because they don't disclose that information to me directly. They should. But I mean, November 6th, yeah, exactly. Please, Disney, call me when these things happen. November 6th is when they do the switch. They just pass in the night. Typhoon Lagoon closes, Blizzard Beach opens back up again. And, you know, there was a time, kids, gather around, when there were 3 water parks. Yes, exactly. When there was River Country, Disney's version of an old-fashioned swimming hole, and then it had, you know, brain-eating amoebas. So they were like, oh, we should kill this. But really, there were 3 water parks, and they could all exist. And then obviously Volcano Bay. I would just like to see them up the level of the attractions at these and make them more of destinations for people, especially because the more that people go there, the shorter my line is for Cosmic Rewind. Really.
Look at you.
I mean, yeah, I'm just spitballing. I'm just trying to help them out. But November 6th is the day that Typhoon Lagoon closes and then Blizzard Beach opens up. So get all of your winter swimming in at Blizzard Beach on November 6th. So I called this next section Broken Rise lovingly, but not really, because there's a couple things that happen in Disney parks this week when it came to these rides. One of them is that apparently the Jungle Cruise is I don't understand this part. So there's the Jungle Cruise, this the temple that you go into, which you don't have this at Disneyland. This is only at Disney World, but they've wrapped it in this camouflage netting because apparently the boats keep hitting it and hurting it. I don't know how the boats hit it because I'm pretty sure they don't go off course here, but and so they've put these nets over it to cover it up. And the word that we're hearing about this in particular is they're not going to fix it. That this window dressing is going to be fine for it. Shannon, I mean, this doesn't sound very Disney to me. Does this sound very Disney to you?
No, I was very confused reading this article because at first I'm like, oh yeah, it's dark, like the boats are hitting it, and I'm like, wait, the boats were on a track. How is this?
Right.
How is this happening? but
No,
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on, but.
So yeah, that was one. The other one, and I was excited first to talk about the Energy Bites having Moshi now. Wait a minute, that's not what I meant to do. That's not what I meant to do. Here it is. You're like, what do you want me to say about it? New passion fruit mochi from Tron Energy Bites, because they don't really have any idea what to do with this food booth. It went from dumplings to nothing to mochi. There were donuts in the middle. I don't really. They have no idea what to do with it. But the reason I bring up Tron and Energy Bites is that's to distract you from the fact that they've broken Tron already. I don't know. I assume everybody here has been on Tron at this point, right? These walls are they're suffocating when you walk through this hallway anyway, and now they're like, the lights aren't working. Let's put another level of wall in here while we fix it. I don't know. What were you going to say, Shannon?
That's an extra wall?
I didn't even know. So I saw this article and I was confused because I don't think I've ever seen those lit up walls. And really? I don't know if it's because I'm going through the lightning lane. I've never waited in the virtual queue. I've only done the lightning lane twice. I don't recall. I just recall it being a black hallway and it's stuffy. We all agree there's no air conditioning flowing through that hallway, right? It was like, it's terrible. But yeah, I don't...
Well, no. Both of them have it. The lightning lane and the virtual queue lines have that little hallway there.
I don't remember seeing it.
And so, yeah, but... when you walk in, you probably were just so excited to get on the attraction, you didn't care about this small hallway you were getting in. But I went with a friend of mine, and we walked in, and she was like, my dad would never be able to do this because the hallway was so narrow as you're going
tight.
in that he would get claustrophobic from it. And
there's no air.
And so then to take it from these like bright blue walls to like solid black, and again, if they've got to fix it, they've got to fix it. But this thing has finally been open for not even a year. It opened in April, is that right? Seems like a problem. And I've subtitled this, we can't have nice things. Is it because people touch the wall? Is that why? And if so, you're leaving them in there too long, because by the time you get to there, it's just a temporary holding spot until they go into, de-res you and send you into the grid, right? So, Desi, anything you want to say about this before we move on?
I'm surprised you didn't go to Kamila as the boat expert when you were talking about the Jungle Cruise.
I was going to say, this is the ride that everyone should skip. No. If it goes down, who cares? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, honestly. Wow. I feel like the movie already came out, so we're just not going to worry about that for a while.
Is that what it is? The movie? It's just the movie. You know what? That is it just me? But that tunnel seems unnecessary. We don't have it at Disneyland. They shut off everything, and basically it's almost like the Jungle Cruise guides from Disneyland said, hey, if you guys are building that in Florida, could you do us a favor and give the guides, like, I don't know, a 90-second break where they can just sit down and do nothing for a little while, and maybe if it's raining, we could have some cover. And they're like, we got you, Temple. That's what we're going to do. It just, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I don't get it. But if it's going to be there, let's not break it and drive the boats into the walls, I guess. I don't know. But I love the sentiment, Kamila. Like, let's just let it go. That's fine. So the next thing we want to talk about is this wonderful segment that I like to call "It Came from the Parks," and I'm giving you guys two choices tonight. I'm
Oh
giving you
no.
guys two choices tonight, and the two stories are one of them was kind of a big deal, and the other one was, I think, very quiet. So it'll be interesting to see which ones you guys choose. But everybody has to choose one. The first one is the one that was kind of a big deal because everybody loves a good fight. Everybody loves a good Fantasyland brawl, and I don't know how
What
poor
is it
Monstro
about
got drug into
Fantasyland?
this. Right, I don't know how poor Monstro got drug into this, but guests wail on each other. We paid somebody extra to come up with that title.
That
When
headline.
fight breaks out in front of Storybook Land canal boats at Disneyland Park, and the other story was a guest is escorted off Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin after running through the ride when it stopped. Kamila, what you
Can
got?
listen, okay, I have to talk about the fight because
Because
reading
you
that
started it.
story, I know.
No.
I was there. I was part of the family in red. No. But here's the thing, like Disneyland in particular, like the spaces can get very tight. Even in Magic Kingdom, especially in Fantasyland, the spaces can get very tight. And if it's a busy day, what kills me when I am in the parks, because I see this happen all the time. Yeah, that's me there in red. Like what happens all the time is people will, and I just think this is so inconsiderate, but like people will just stand in the middle of a walkway on a busy day and just no thought about like traffic trying to move one way or the other. Like just, families of like 10 people with all of their things will just be like right in the way in these very tight spaces. And it just, I don't know, to me, like I'm such a considerate person that I'm always like, oh, am I in the way? Can people get around me? Like I'm just very like cognizant of my presence and trying to like not be, in the way or be problematic for someone. And so like I can understand the frustration of other people who are trying to get to wherever they're going and you're just in the way. And I think it's okay for people to say, hey, just so you guys know, you're in the way, like could you move? Hopefully you said it in a way that's somewhat nice, although let's be honest, these days people are not always the friendliest. But like people should also be thinking about that, like especially when it's busy, especially in these tight spaces. Think about where you're standing and please don't stand right in the middle. Now, all of that being said, we all need to get much better at like talking to each other nicely, because you can't fight. And we've talked about this so many times. Just like I really don't love to see the drunk people in Epcot. That's my other thing I hate. Like you cannot be fighting in Disneyland, in Magic Kingdom, where the children are, in Fantasyland of all places. Like come on. Come on. Like everybody has to be doing way better. And like you're on vacation, and I get it. Like Disney can be a little stressful, it can be hot, it's expensive, whatever, but like there's no excuse for this kind of behavior. And if you're gonna do it at least in Tomorrowland. Like don't do it in Fantasyland where the strollers are. Come on. But don't do it
Yeah.
anywhere, of course.
The first
Do it on the
thing that
boats.
yeah yeah the boat.
That'll teach you.
Nothing will make you angrier than a boat. The first thing my wife said when we looked at this was this little girl, this poor little girl who was there with her family and is scared. I mean, she's clearly scared of what's
Yeah.
going on here, and that's sad. Like you go for this
It is.
wonderful family experience to Disneyland, and it breaks down into this. And you should, if nothing else, have had that respect for your kid not to let that happen. But yeah, you're right. It's like people get in your way all the time in the parks. The thing that drives me the craziest is people with no spatial awareness. They just dead stop. Like I actually almost like leapfrogged over a kid who dead stopped in front of me, and like I was like, I'm not gonna hit him, but like just jump out of the way. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
and I know the first thing I thought about Kamila when I saw this article was Kamila always thinks these things happen in Epcot because of the drinking or like, so literally the first thing. And I'm
Or
like, nope,
Fantasyland, apparently. It's the other
apparently
hot spot.
Fantasyland. Yeah. Shannon, which one are you going for here?
I am going for the storybook brawl as well, because it was actually my first time going on that ride back in May. And it's so ironic to me because that ride was peaceful. I mean, even getting on the boat, the cast member was talking quietly as we're floating through, and there was a duck just peacefully sitting. I couldn't imagine sitting on one of those boats and seeing some kind of chaos over the thing. So Very sad.
It's so true. Over like those little miniature scenes.
Yes.
Can't happen.
Oh, Rob, you're muted.
Sorry, that's the problem. Let's not do it in front of the peaceful ride. Let's do it in Tomorrowland, Kamila, right? Is that what you were saying?
Right.
Let's just go. You take that trash over to Tomorrowland. I don't really.
If it happens in Tron, we understand. No.
No. Desi, 3 for 3 or what?
I mean, what did we ever find out what they were fighting about? Do we know? Do we know
They
why
told them
this
to
guy?
move. They were like standing in the way, and someone told them to move.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was
Okay.
about.
And they were like, hold my cotton candy.
Did we ever find out why
Set him
that guy
off.
jumped off at Buzz Lightyear? Was it just that the ride was stopped? Was it, oh my God, I'm going to have an emergency. I'm going to, go to the bathroom right here all over myself if I don't jump out right now. Or, I've got a dining reservation. If I don't get to it, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's a good excuse anyway, but I'm just curious what the rationale was.
So what Desi wants is context for everything, basically. Is she's like, before I cast judgment, let me know why was the dude jumping out of the car and why were... Yeah, all right, okay. I don't have an answer for you on either of those, but yeah, so the guy runs through and then he follows back the cast member, grabs something out of what doesn't even look like the same thing, and then walks out. So maybe you're right. It could have been that he was missing that that resi for Be Our Guest. I don't know, but it seems a little bit weird. It could have been a bathroom situation. I don't know, but he was not all that far from the end at that point. I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. It came from the park. The reason that and again, for those of you who have not seen this before, the reason I dump all these together is because there's a lot of these where we read the article and go, they did what? So that's basically where that happens. So let's do this for you guys and for the panel. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more ParksCenter. So y'all don't go nowhere. Hang on. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
This program is brought to you by WIGS, the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. Support WDWNT to get early and exclusive access to content you can't find anywhere else, including exclusive post shows for WDW News Tonight and ParksCenter, access to our prize wall, a monthly Zoom with Tom, access to our Discord community, early access to our events, and much more, starting at just $2 per month. For more information, visit patreon.com/WDWNT or visit WDWNT.com and click the Patreon link. Join WIGS and unlock even more WDWNT.
Hey guys, welcome back to ParksCenter. Thank you guys so much for being with us on your Sunday night. We appreciate you. Don't forget, like we said, Deep in the Plus comes on every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. This coming Wednesday night, we're going to be talking about the Haunted Mansion 2023 movie. If you missed last weekend and you're a Parks fan, or last Wednesday, you should check out our Behind the Attraction, the TV show Behind the Attraction. We did the episode about the Haunted Mansion. That'll get you all caught up and ready to watch the movie. So we hope you guys join us Wednesday night at 9 p.m. And if you have not already given us us a thumbs up for this video, we would appreciate that as well for this hardworking panel. Now, before we get into this next thing, so apparently there was a report that came out about people who are getting sick this past summer on attractions, and it's much longer than it should be. It feels like, but a lot of them, it was motion sickness. And again, having this conversation with my wife, the ruling for this was that it was people who were hospitalized for more than 24 hours because of an incident. And she was like, from motion sickness? That doesn't sound right. But we've heard a lot of things about people getting sick, having accidents, bumping their head, getting whiplash in Peter Pan, things like that. So before we get into the story itself, I would love for you guys to weigh in this week for our poll of the week. And the poll of the week is basically, what attraction makes you sick? And the way you do this is you go into the chat, pound 1 through 9. The first one is Cosmic Rewind. There's a lot of news about the Cosmic Rewind making people ill. Mission Space, The Teacups, Tower of Terror, The Forbidden Journey. So this is not even just at Disney, but it's also at Universal. Big Thunder, Expedition Everest. I put in Fast and Furious Supercharged because, man, that attraction makes me sick because it exists. And also something else. If I missed something else, say it was something else, and let us know in the chat which one you think. A lot of people are already going, yeah, Mission Space. That one looks like a problem child. So again, we would love to get your feedback there from that one. So I don't know what each of you think about it, but as I'm looking through this report, they talked about Cosmic Rewind. They talked about Forbidden Journey. Forbidden Journey's a beast. That one, it's a great attraction, but it will knock you around like crazy. I put Expedition Everest in this queue here. It wasn't on our list in the report, but I put it in here because I can do it twice. And then I'm done, just because of the forward backwards. So, Kamila, you saw this report. Do people come to you like when you're planning trips and things and go, "Hey, is there anything I should avoid?" And if so, is it anything on this list?
The biggest thing I tend to see is around height limits. But I will say, the last time I was on Cosmic Rewind, I had my first experience where like someone had clearly gotten sick and they didn't make it to a trash can, and it was not pleasant. And it was raining, so people were like just gathered around it because they didn't want to go out into the rain. And so it was just like bad on bad. But I'm surprised to not see Velocicoaster on this list. Like, and maybe with that one, people just, they see it, they heed the warnings a little bit better. I know on the report, there were a couple, like there were some people, you know, who were older, but like they also talked about like even some people who were younger who ended up getting seizures, or like they had these conditions that they did that were pre-existing, but that they weren't aware of. And so no surprise that some of these rides will trigger that. And, you know, they do tell you like in the disclaimer or in the legal language, like, you know, consult your physician before going on any of these rides. Probably, you know, 0.01% of people actually do that maybe, but it's not surprising that, especially on this list, you know, some of these trigger things. But Cosmic Rewind is the one that, I'm gonna be honest, I do not get. I can probably go on that ride 100 times and be fine, but that's the first time I've seen someone literally get sick from one of these rides.
Jason Diffendahl. That's all I'm saying. Ask him. I'm just putting that out there. But that's the one, though, that, like, again, my wife was like, she loves Guardians of the Galaxy, but she was like, no. And then, like, Tower of Terror for some people because of the up and down. So Tower of Terror was on this list that we saw, this incident report. But the two that surprised me, and Desi, you can maybe weigh in on this, because I'm sure these are two of your favorites or your family favorites, are Slinky Dog. What? And then Rise of the Resistance. I'm sorry, excuse me? I feel like, isn't that child neglect if you don't take your kid on Slinky Dog? Should we call somebody?
When he finally got to be tall, so our kids are basically the same size. And so when they became tall enough to go on Slinky Dog, all four of us got in line, and my husband and one of our sons went on it, and the other one was complaining about the length of the queue, and he didn't want to stay in that line, so we got out. So I still have never been on Slinky Dog Dash. But
Rise.
the Rise makes no sense to me. But last week, my kids had been complaining that mommy went to space without them. So I took them to Space 220 and they loved it. They had a great time. And while we were there, my son asks, can we go to Mars? Because he's like, well, we're already in space. Can we go to Mars? And so I was like, I don't think you're tall enough, but let me check. And I looked, he's tall enough to ride Mission Space, which shocked me. He is tiny. I mean, like, not like the smallest kid in his class, tiny. I'm shocked that he was tall enough to ride that. I can't imagine there's a ton of 3-year-olds who want to go on that ride. And I feel like it seems like it would be dangerous for a 3-year-old to be on it. And also he's got, you know, an underlying condition. So I wound up deciding, no, I don't want him to go to Mars today. I'm going to wait till he's a little bit bigger.
I was about to ask you, you really buried the lead there on, like, how did it end? Did you take him? Like, did he go? People are wanting to know. People are asking. Yeah, I get that. But I mean, you've got the orange and the green, right? So it doesn't have to be the bad one, right?
I mean, if he wants to go to Mars, I want to take him on the real one.
We're going for real.
I mean, his
all right,
underlying condition is his liver. It's not, you know, heart condition or anything, but it's still like, I have no idea what that G-force would do.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you should have taken your kid on there. I was just curious how it worked out. I mean, yeah.
You know what's
go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say really quick, the other thing that I've seen, I forgot about this, but at the Lion King show at Animal Kingdom, there was a little boy that started having seizures, and like the show kept going, but like you could see clearly something was happening. Like the mom started, you know, screaming a little bit, understandably, and then like so quickly, I want to say like paramedics or the fire department, but like they ended up having to take him out on a stretcher, and the show just kept going, but you could see the actors looking over, expressing concern. So I mean, you just never know, I feel like, when something can hit and what will trigger someone.
Okay.
But Disney does a great job.
Yeah, I agree. So we have a super chat. So Shannon, I don't know that maybe lightning doesn't strike twice, but that was pretty good. I appreciate you. I feel like there was a timing issue, maybe.
Great.
Maybe you didn't have a ramp up enough, but yeah, no, I appreciate the effort was 150%. But I want to say a special thank you to Jungle Cruiser, who says the best ride in Florida is not at any of the theme parks. It's the Space Shuttle Simulator at Kennedy Space Center's Visitor Center. Love the 4Gs. So first of all, thank you, Jungle Cruiser, for the super chat. We appreciate it. Also, no. I mean, as much as Mission Space already, like Mission Space is fine. Like I don't, you know, but when they first made it, it seemed like it was one of those things that most people were like, this makes me sick, I can't do it, which is why they had to make the, like, kind of the non-spinning version of Mission Space, where you only go to Earth instead, or go around the Earth instead of going to Mars. So, yeah, that is the tough one. You are a better one than I am for going into the 4G simulator out there. So I think we're good with what we've got at Mission Space. And as a matter of fact, if you wanted to take it out and put Horizons back, I wouldn't be angry at that either. So, Shannon, any thoughts?
No, not on this. I think I have my feelings on all of them. Like, none of them make me sick, but some make me feel worse than others. And I've read this report in the past, and it's so interesting to see some of these. Like, I've seen ones where it's like a person broke their leg boarding Spaceship Earth, and I'm like, how does that happen? But there was nothing really interesting in this go around, so
nothing interesting. Not enough pain.
All the usual suspects.
Yeah, well, but Big Thunder, I would not have put Big Thunder on this list, but Big Thunder was one also that people had a problem with, and again, just
I wouldn't have put Peter
so
Pan
jerky
on the list. But...
Oh, right, Peter Pan, yeah, because of the whiplash.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. Yeah. All right. So, looking at the chat, almost everybody said Mission Space. It has almost 50% of it. A little bit for Cosmic Rewind. A little bit for Teacups. Teacups makes sense. You know, the funny thing is, like Teacups. My wife and I were looking at the attractions because I was trying to convince her to do Rock and Roller Coaster. I said it's only like 90 seconds. She goes, "You're lying," and I said, "No, like it says it's about 90 seconds." So we went, and also Teacups was 90 seconds. So we stood at Teacups and watched it, and it is just about 90 seconds. But if your equilibrium is messed up and you're in a teacup, it seems like 9 hours that you're in there spinning the cup, especially if you have a kid who's like, let me get on this and spin it as fast as I can, kind of a thing. So yeah, but Teacups is, you know, definitely one of those that does it. Everest, I see some people on there. Nobody said Big Thunder, but people did say Supercharged. So, you know, there you go. A Dragger was in chat and said for something else, Star Tours. So I don't know if Star Tours is one that gets you guys or not. But thank you guys for doing the for playing along with the poll. We appreciate you, and we'll do a poll each week. Let's move on to the section that I'm calling the Leaky Kingdom, and we talked about this a little bit pre-show. It's so funny to me when we start to see like multiple stories about the same type of a thing. So there was a story about Sir Mickey's, and the roof of Sir Mickey's had a leak, sprouts leak. Again, we pay people a lot of money for these headlines. Sprouts leak because the whole beanstalk thing. And then the cobblestones outside the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom are loose due to a reported underground leak. Well, if you don't already know, there are tunnels underground. So somewhere between the underground and the ground, there's a leak. And I feel like you need to go call ServPro or somebody to get some of those big industrial fans out there, just dry all that up so we don't have any problems. But I'm just looking at all this and going, you know, we have a brand new Journey of Water happening at the Magic Kingdom, and it is not sanctioned. So, Desi, do you have problems with the water here? They turned it off for Splash Mountain, and it's not on yet for Tiana.
I don't know. I've never seen anything quite like that. I am confused how the water between the tunnel and the Haunted Mansion, how that works. I mean, maybe just the piping for the utilidors is that seems crazy. But Moana Journey of Water, like there's water everywhere. Even if you take the dry path, there's still going to be water there. So we'll see how well that lasts. If the floor cracks there.
Yeah, but again, I mean, there's a lot of real estate to take care of. I get that because Disneyland is its own thing. Disney World is humongous. You've got all these resorts and all these things that need maintenance all the time. So I get it that sometimes things happen, but still, it seems weird 2 leaks in one day, and it certainly isn't the Sir Mickey stuff leaking all the way to the Haunted Mansion. So, Shannon, make it make sense.
I can't make it make sense, but on a recent trip, I was in the Contemporary, and there were ceiling tiles broken all over that. You know, the staircase by Bayview Gifts that goes down to kind of near the California Grill check-in desk? Yep. All over those stairs were broken ceiling tiles and water that was coming out of the ceiling. So I just wonder if the water pipe maintenance is just not going so well in that whole area. Maybe it's just showing its age, sadly.
Well, no, that can't be right. Are you sure? Okay. All right, so let's move on then, because we were talking about, again, the Magic Kingdom and keeping everything going. Disneyland has, like, you know, Walt always said Disneyland would never be finished, but we didn't expect there to be this many tarps up all the time, I don't think either, right? Like, I mean, finish one thing and then go finish something else. I'm gonna come at you on this one, Kamala, because I think that you go more than the other two on the panel here, but also I feel like Disneyland, more than Magic Kingdom, more than Disney World, almost has a ton of construction things happening all the time. And sometimes it's major attractions that are down all the time. And like, I can't imagine remembering a time when there were not construction walls up that I've been, and I've been quite a few. So I don't know if you've ever had anybody complain about this or if it gets to you.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, and even like as I advise clients that are traveling to Disneyland, the things that I keep an eye out for are actually Space Mountain, and Indiana Jones. And what's interesting is Space Mountain is about to end a current ongoing refurbishment, and then Indiana Jones, it sounds like, is about to start yet another one, which I just feel like, the thing about these two rides, and if you've ever been there when one or both of them has gone down, the park instantly feels extremely busy. So, like, it is extremely unideal to have both of these rides or attractions down at the same time, but losing just one of them, like, you feel it, not only in those areas of the park, but like just throughout. Like, instantly, Disneyland will feel busier. Um, that being said, I do feel like the park can absorb some of these big rides being down a little bit better, and even like some of the tarp. Like, I know it feels like we've been waiting on the treehouse forever. Obviously Splash is down. They have been building a lot, especially in the New Orleans Square area, because we don't forget, we just got Tiana's place opened. So I feel like you always kind of notice all these things that are happening in and around Disneyland. But at the same time, I feel like, having just been there very end of August, when you did see, luckily the two rides were open, but like, the treehouse is still very much under construction. Tiana's wasn't open yet. Of course, Splash is not open, but it didn't really feel like it because there's so much to do there otherwise. And especially if you're kind of bouncing back and forth between DCA and Disneyland, I think the beauty of that park is that it really is still so big and there's so much to do there. But I just feel like the two things that can never be down at the same time: space and Indiana.
Well, and again, like, and I'm gonna go to you next, Shannon, on this one, because I don't get there a ton, and when I do go, I look around and I think to myself, if this was your only time coming to Disneyland and these things were down, it is what it is. They need to do maintenance. I get that. That's fine. But also, they never give you a financial break on that. If they're like, oh, you know what, the marquee attraction is down, we're going to not charge you as much. No, the surge charges are still there. But again, just to run through the list, we've got, as you said, Kamala, we've got Space Mountain, we've got Indiana Jones. They still can't get things right in Toontown. Mm-hmm. That's crazy to me. They spent a year trying to fix this place, and there's still some construction walls up. They've got downtown Disney is under construction walls as they're putting up new restaurants. And as you mentioned again, the scaffolding's been removed, but this is not open at the treehouse. So again, that's a lot of construction to be happening all at the same time. And again, if you spread it out across Disney World, one or two things at Animal Kingdom, one or two things over at Hollywood Studios, then that's okay-ish. But to have them all in, this is not DCA. This is downtown Disney for the restaurants, but everything else is in that one park. That's a lot of construction to go. And Shannon, I know not long ago you went. Were there a bunch of things down when you were there? Because again, as I'm going through and I'm finding topics for us to talk about every week, and I was like, this is a lot of stuff to be down at the same time.
Well, what was so disappointing? I've been to Disneyland twice in my entire life, and both times Matterhorn was closed for refurbishment. Now, again, I know that ride needs tender love and care a while, so I've never been able to experience the Matterhorn. Now, when I see something like Indian Space closed at the same time, I'm thinking about, like Genie Plus, and how we start to see lightning lanes far exceed the standby lines, like outside the queue, and it just makes you wonder how that gets impacted. Plus, when I've been to Disneyland, I don't think I've ever been to an empty park in Disneyland or DCA. Maybe I just went at busy times, but they're local heavy parks, and it felt like madness. So having more than 2 or 3 major attractions closed at the same time would just be a nightmare.
Yeah, and one of the things that I saw happen once was when the Sleeping Beauty Castle was under construction. That to me is like when the castle is not available to you, and again, this is your only time going, that's one of those things where like, how do I get my picture taken in front of this beautiful scrim? But, I feel like...
And that castle took forever.
Yeah,
it felt like so long.
Yeah, or when Rivers of America was being shortened for Galaxy's Edge, and they shut down the train and Tom Sawyer's Island and Fantasmic and like all of these. And that's another thing we haven't even talked about with all of these other things down is Fantasmic is down until next year. So this is a lot of people eating, you know, space that is gone in a park that's already overcrowded. So very sad. Let's do this as our last topic of the night, because Jollywood Nights is, I believe it's still, there are still tickets available for this, right? Like, it's crazy to me because of all the things they've talked about. So I think this is probably why they leaked a few things that are coming with Jollywood Nights. First of all, these character costumes. So they're different from what we're seeing at, like, say, Magic Kingdom or at Disneyland. Is these are the character costumes we're going to be able to see for Jollywood Nights, which is the hard ticket event that's coming to Hollywood Studios. But also, oh, look at these dirty cookies. Come on, that's cute.
I would buy a ticket just for those cookies.
Yeah. But all of this food looks kind of amazing that's coming. I mean, they've got special drinks with this Tip Top Club happening. There are some of them that look a little weird to me. But like this milkshake, this Muppet milkshake thing, this what's this, like a peanut butter and jelly, and it's got like potato chips on it. A lot of neat things, a lot of weird things coming. But I think we talked about this ahead of the show tonight. And Kamila, or actually, I think Desi, were you the one that was saying like you're excited? You would be excited to go to this, or was it Kamila? I forget. One of you two was more excited. Kamila.
I'm going on.
Okay.
I think the first one on the 11th of November. I'm glad they gave us more information, but what stood out to me actually was I don't feel like when they originally were announcing this or marketing this that they explicitly said it was adults only, but I noticed in the segment that they did, they said like that it was adults only, and so I feel like that is going to limit who's able to go. Because, you know, of course, many people who are going to Disney World or who might be there during this time that might think about going, that, you know, they might have their kids. And if you're kind of saying, well, it's really more of an adult only fare, you know, we want you to get glam and costume. It's just like, I feel like a little more difficult for people to, you know, try to manage that. But I am excited. I will say I kind of hate all the like these food offerings just because they're usually so expensive, and you'll get excited about something and you'll get there to go try to get it. And even if you're early, it'll be sold out anyway. That's happened to me so many times with all these little after hours events. So, you know, I kind of refuse to get excited about any of that. But I am hoping there's going to be like some interesting or special Star Wars holiday decoration. Like I want to go to Galaxy's Edge and I don't know, I feel like that's something special. Yeah.
Well,
if I knew that Chewbacca was going to be in his red robe holding his globe, I would buy a ticket. 100%. That's it. That's all. Yeah. That's all it would take to get me to go and buy a special event ticket.
So after I tried to remind myself if it was Desi or Kamila, I think it was Shannon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was talking about how you like
major FOMO.
FOMO, yes.
Yeah. If you've watched me on the show before, you'll know I'm a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party stan. I think it's great, and it doesn't even have half the offerings that I think Jollywood Nights is going to bring. The bar is set super high, and I think Disney is going to meet that expectations. So be it that they, you know, are able to handle the crowds and sell the tickets appropriately. But I think this is going to be a great event, and I'm really sad I'm not going to be able to see it. But I expect firsthand reports from Kamila.
Well, and Kamila, you were talking about this event and adults and kids. I mean, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is also happening. So I feel like there's an offering for you if you have a family, and then there's an offering for you if you just wanted to go out. You said you get glammed up. You said you're going. Are you glamming up for this? Are you like prom dress, the whole nine?
The group that I'm going with, like people are planning on really doing like they're like really going all out, getting glam. I'm gonna do like a Disney Florida glam. I don't know about all that.
Your Star Wars
but it'll be more than I would normally wear in the parks for sure. And so I'm gonna try to get like a little in theme, a little in character, but that's also something that's kind of tougher. Like when you're traveling, trying to, I don't know, do like the getting in character, theme, bounding, whatever.
Because you can't just walk in your closet the night of and just like get all the stuff that you
Right.
want, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why they have that thing in Japan where you can rent a booth and change into your Halloween costume. When I was looking at the foods, these gingerbread bites, which are plant-based, by the way, look like little squares of heaven to me. I don't know if that's a thing, but like, I don't know if there's something that popped out to any of you guys about like that looked really good. But also, to your point about it being a more adult, there is a ton of alcohol on this menu. So even if it's not a great event, you may still walk out thinking you went to a great event, depending on how much alcohol you have. So maybe that's a thing. Kamila, something there food-wise? You said normally you get excited about something and then you can't get it. Is there something on the list that you were like, no, that's the one I'm going to get? Nothing?
I mean, I feel like those, like, it looked like it was like the burrito tacos, maybe. Like, I'd be curious to try that. I probably have paid more attention to alcohol just because I'm planning on going to dinner before that. You can't get in, I don't think, until 7, which is to me a little later, for like I'm hungry by then. So, but
Yeah.
I like I said, I have not had good luck with any of these types of items. So I kind of have just, yeah, sure. But you have it on the menu, but it's not even available. And they just don't care. Like, they'll be like, oh, I want this. And like, oh yeah, that sold out an hour ago. And then like next, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe they care. Maybe they're going to care more here, Kamila. You don't know.
That's right. I was at Disneyland that last time that happened to me. So.
Oh, I remember.
Disney World would do me better.
It was the Star Wars Galactic Nights, and you were livid.
It sure was. I was pissed.
You're like, they sold these to day guests, and they were gone by the time I got there. And yeah, no, I remember. We'll roll back the tape on that one. I know, and you blame the boats, and I don't think that's fair. So, but again, I want to thank everybody for being on the panel tonight. Thank you guys always for being with us on ParksCenter on Sunday nights. We appreciate you. A special shout out to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. You guys are the bomb. We appreciate you guys for being part of the family, hanging out with us all the time on all the shows. If you want to learn more about the WIGS program, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT. And then also, again, like we said, Wednesday night we've got Deep in the Plus for the Haunted Mansion. Thursday night is another edition of News Tonight, which will be a Halloween edition. And then next Sunday night we will be back here for even more ParksCenter, even more shenanigans, and we hope that you will join us for that. If you are a WIGS member, we do have a post show coming up for you right after this. Thanks again. Thank you guys on the panel. You guys are great. I appreciate it. And have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
And it's in Desi's contract that she does not sing. So
Absolutely not.